Zathal stared at the screen in front of him, watching numbers that made no sense. The star outside their station was dying, just as it had been for millions of years. That was normal. That was why they were here. But the readings showing up now were not normal at all. Something was moving through space toward them. Something big. "Commander Velmis," Zathal called out, his voice shaking slightly. "You need to see this." The station commander floated over to his workstation. Their species, the Valorians, had evolved on a small moon with weak gravity. Here in the station, they kept the gravity low to feel comfortable. Velmis looked at the screen and his large eyes grew even wider. "What is that?" he whispered. "I don't know," Zathal admitted. "It came out of subspace 3 hours ago. It's moving toward the mining colonies on the outer edge of the system." They watched in silence as the thing moved closer to the first colony. Through their long-range sensors, they could see it more clearly now. It was enormous, maybe 3 kilometers long. Parts of it looked like metal. Other parts looked alive, like flesh and organs. It had tentacles or arms hanging from its body, dozens of them. Then the screaming started. The emergency channel from the mining colony crackled to life. Voices shouted in panic. The words were hard to understand, but the fear was clear. Zathal could hear people crying, people running, people calling for help. Then the sound stopped. Just stopped. The life signs from the colony disappeared from their sensors. 2,000 Valorians gone in minutes. "Send a message to the Concordance," Velmis ordered, his voice tight with fear. "Tell them we need help. Tell them we need evacuation. Tell them it's moving again," another researcher interrupted. "It's coming toward us." The thing, whatever it was, had finished with the mining colony. Now it was heading toward the research station. Zathal did quick calculations in his head. At its current speed, it would reach them in 72 hours. "Send the message on all frequencies," Velmis said. "Not just to the Concordance. To everyone. Anyone who can hear us. We need help now." Zathal programmed the distress signal. It was simple and clear. A peaceful research station under attack by an unknown hostile entity. They needed immediate evacuation assistance. They were unarmed and unable to defend themselves. The Valorians were scientists, not soldiers. Their entire civilization had no military. They had no weapons. The very concept of organized violence was something they had left behind thousands of years ago. War was something they studied in ancient history books, something primitive species did before they learned better. Now they wished they had remembered how. The distress signal went out across space, bouncing through relay stations, spreading through the communication network that connected the Galactic Concordance. 43 researchers waited in the station, hoping someone would answer. They prepared their single shuttle for evacuation, but they knew it was too small. It could maybe carry 20 people, and that was if they packed in tight. Even then, the shuttle was slow and had limited range. They would need a real rescue ship if they wanted to survive. Zathal couldn't focus on his work anymore. He watched the sensors, tracking the thing as it moved through their system. It wasn't just traveling, it was eating. Every asteroid, every piece of debris, every small moon it passed near, it consumed them all. The thing was feeding, growing bigger. What could make something like that? His assistant asked. "I don't know," Zathal said. "Nothing in our database matches it. It's like someone took a living creature and combined it with a machine. But why? And who would build something so terrible?" 18 hours passed. The thing destroyed another mining outpost. Then it consumed an automated supply depot. Each time it fed, it seemed to grow stronger, faster. The Valorians watched helplessly, unable to do anything but wait and hope. Then the communication system lit up. A response to their distress call, but it wasn't from the Concordance. Zathal opened the message carefully. The transmission signature was strange, using protocols that were only a few years old. He checked the database and found the species name, humans. The database said they were from a planet called Earth. Next to the entry was a warning tag in bright red. Deathworld origin. Approach with extreme caution. "What's a Deathworld?" Velmis asked. Zathal read the database entry out loud. A Deathworld is a planet with hostile conditions that produce dangerous species. High gravity, aggressive predators, extreme weather, deadly diseases. Species from Deathworlds are typically physically stronger, more aggressive, and more violent than standard Concordance members. Contact should be limited and carefully controlled. "But they answered our call," Velmis said. "What does the message say?" Zathal played the message. A voice came through, speaking in translated concordance standard. "This is Captain Minho of the United Earth Expeditionary Fleet. We received your distress signal. We are en route to your position. Our fleet will arrive in approximately 40 hours. Please transmit all available data on the hostile entity. Hold your position if possible. Help is coming." The Valorian researchers looked at each other with mixed feelings. Help was coming, which was good. But the help was coming from Deathworlders, which was terrifying. "What choice do we have?" Velmus said finally. "Send them everything we have on the creature. Coordinates, sensor data, all of it." Zethal prepared the data package and sent it. As he worked, he couldn't help but wonder what humans looked like. What kind of species evolved on a death world? What made them so dangerous that the concordance put warnings on their database entry? Outside the station, the creature continued to move closer. Its tentacles reached out, grabbing pieces of rock and metal, pulling them into its body. Through their sensors, they could see it changing, adapting, growing new structures. Zethal named it the Devourer in his reports. The name seemed appropriate. It devoured everything in its path. 40 hours until the humans arrived. 32 hours until the Devourer reached their station. The Valorians prepared to meet Deathworlders for the first time. They were scared, but they were more scared of dying. They locked down their research, backed up their data, and gathered near the main airlock. All they could do now was wait and hope that the cure wasn't worse than the disease. In the darkness of space, 6 human ships pushed their engines hard, racing toward a station full of aliens who had never known war, being hunted by a monster they couldn't fight. The humans were coming, and the Devourer was waiting. The docking collar connected with a solid thunk that echoed through both vessels. Inside the Valorian research station, Zethal and his fellow researchers gathered near the main airlock, their belongings clutched in delicate hands. They could feel vibrations through the station's walls, the battle continuing outside. "Is it safe?" asked one of the younger researchers, her voice trembling. "Safer than staying here," Commander Velmus said firmly. "The humans have come to help us. We must trust them." Through the station's internal cameras, Zethal had watched the human security team fight off the boarding creatures. It had been the most violent thing he'd ever witnessed. The humans moved through their own ship's corridors like they owned them, their weapons firing with casual efficiency. When one creature got close, the human soldier had simply grabbed it and crushed its head with his armored hand. The Valorians had seen the recordings of humans before joining the concordance, but watching them in action was different. These weren't just strong aliens. These were predators, apex predators from a world that had tried to kill them every day of their evolution. The airlock door began to open. Zethal's heart pounded in his chest. Dr. Yuna stepped through first. She had chosen to come herself because she was smaller than most humans and trained in first contact situations. But even she looked enormous to the Valorians. She was easily twice the height of the tallest researcher, with muscles visible even through her uniform. Her eyes faced forward like a hunter's eyes. But she moved slowly and carefully, keeping her hands visible. Her voice was soft when she spoke. "Hello?" she said. "I'm Yuna. We're here to get you out safely. I know we look scary to you, but I promise we're here to help." Zethal forced himself to step forward. As the station's lead researcher, he felt responsible for the others. "We're ready to evacuate. Thank you for coming." Yuna smiled, and Zethal could see her trying to make the expression gentle. "We're going to carry you to our ship. Your species is more fragile than ours, and we don't want anyone getting hurt. Is that acceptable?" The researchers looked at each other nervously. Being carried by Deathworlders was terrifying, but staying here meant death. "Yes," Velmus said. "We understand." More humans entered the station. They wore armor that made them look even bigger and more intimidating. But their movements were careful, almost delicate. One soldier approached an elderly Valorian researcher and knelt down to be less threatening. "I'm going to pick you up now, sir," the soldier said. "Please hold still." He lifted the Valorian as if he weighed nothing, cradling him against his armored chest. The elderly researcher made a small sound of fear but didn't struggle. One by one, the humans carried the Valorians through the airlock and into the Indomitable. Zethal was lifted by a human woman who moved with surprising grace despite her size. As they passed through the corridor, Zethal saw the damage from the boarding creatures. Scorch marks on the walls, dents in the metal plating. Purple blood splattered across the floor. They reached a large room filled with specially modified seats. The padding was extra thick, designed to protect fragile bodies during emergency maneuvers. These are crash couches, Yuna explained, as the humans gently placed each Valorian into a seat. They'll keep you safe even if we have to make sudden movements. The restraints might feel tight, but they're necessary. Zethal was secured into his couch. The human restraints were made for beings much larger than him, but they had been adjusted. The padding surrounded him like a protective cocoon. Your people, he found himself asking Yuna. You do this often? Fight things like the Devourer? Yuna considered the question. She sat down nearby, careful to stay at his eye level rather than looming over him. We fought things. Not exactly like the Devourer, but humans have always faced threats. It's part of who we are. What kind of planet makes a species like yours? Zethal asked. Yuna's expression became distant, almost sad. Earth isn't a kind planet. Everything there tries to kill you. The weather, the predators, the diseases, even some of the plants. We evolved to survive in a place where being afraid was necessary for survival. But you didn't just survive, Zethal said. You thrived. You built cities and ships, and now you travel the stars. How? Because we're also really good at working together, Yuna said. Individually, humans aren't the strongest or fastest on Earth. We don't have claws or armor or venom. But we work in groups. We plan, we adapt. We don't give up. The ship shuddered as another explosion rocked it from outside. Zethal clutched his restraints tightly. That was close, Yuna said calmly, checking a display on her wrist. Captain Minho is keeping the Devourer busy while we finish evacuation. Will he be all right? Zethal asked. Your captain?
Minho?
Yuna smiled. He's one of the best pilots in the fleet. He'll be fine. On the bridge, Minho was having what he would later describe as an interesting time. The Devourer had figured out that he was trying to evacuate the station and was doing everything possible to stop him. 3. More boarding pods incoming, Hana shouted. It's targeting the docking collar. Point defense, Minho ordered. Don't let those things get close. The Indomitable's automated weapons tracked and destroyed 2 of the pods. The third one was too close, moving too fast. It slammed into the ship's hull just meters from the docking collar. Security team, we have another breach, Zubin called out. Already on it, Taeyang's voice came back. This is getting repetitive. The sounds of gunfire echoed through the ship's internal communication system, followed by Taeyang's calm voice. Threat eliminated. But Captain, these things are getting smarter. That last one tried to flank us. Noted, Minho said. How long until all Valorians are aboard? 2 more minutes, Jinwoo reported from the docking station. We're moving as fast as we safely can. 2 minutes. Minho could work with that. All ships concentrate fire on the Devourer. I need it distracted for 2 more minutes. The other 5 human ships unleashed everything they had. Missiles, railgun rounds, energy beams, all of it poured into the Devourer. The creature screamed again, that awful subspace sound, and turned its attention away from the Indomitable. In the evacuation room, the last Valorians were being secured in their crash couches. Zethal watched as the humans moved efficiently, checking each restraint, making sure everyone was safe. Despite their fearsome appearance, they were being incredibly gentle. All evacuees secure. Jinwoo's voice came over the communication system. We're green to disengage. Disconnect docking collar, Minho ordered. All hands prepare for high-speed maneuvers. The Indomitable pulled away from the research station. As it did, the Devourer seemed to realize what had happened. It launched itself toward the research station, perhaps hoping to destroy it out of spite or to reclaim the biomass it had been denied. Captain, Hana said urgently, it's going after the station. Minho watched the Devourer close on the now empty station. Let it, the station is evacuated. We have what we came for. The Devourer crashed into the research station, its tentacles wrapping around the structure, beginning to tear it apart. The Valorians in the evacuation room watched on screens as their home and workplace was destroyed. Some of them wept quietly. I'm sorry, Yuna said softly to Zethal. I know that station meant a lot to you. It was just a building, Zethal said, though his voice was thick with emotion. Our people are safe. That's what matters. You saved us. That's what we do, Yuna said simply. On the bridge, Hana was analyzing the Devourer's behavior as it consumed the station. Captain, I think I know how to kill this thing. But you're not going to like it. Tell me, Minho said. Hana pulled up a display of the system's star. We use the star. The Devourer is powerful and can regenerate, but it's still bound by physics. If we can drive it into the star's corona, the heat and radiation will overwhelm even its adaptive abilities. Minho studied the display. That's a good plan. But we need to make it chase us. We need to be bait. Yes, Hana agreed. And only the Indomitable has the speed and shields to survive getting that close to the star. Subin turned in her seat. Captain, that's incredibly dangerous. One mistake and we burn up with the Devourer. I know, Minho said. But if we don't kill this thing now, it'll just keep growing and killing. How many more colonies will it destroy? How many more people will die? He looked at his crew. Every one of them was ready, waiting for his decision. Besides, Minho added with a slight smile, we're humans. Dangerous situations are kind of our specialty. The crew smiled back. They knew what they had to do. In the evacuation room, Zathal watched the bridge feed and realized what the humans were planning. They were going to risk their lives, risk their entire ship, to permanently eliminate the threat. These Deathworlders, these terrifying predators from a brutal world, were also heroes. The human fleet arrived at the edge of the system like thunder rolling across the sky. Captain Minho stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the tactical display as Lieutenant Hana's sensors swept across the Devourer. Analysis complete, Hana said. Confirmed size at 3.2 kilometers. Composition is approximately 60% organic tissue, 40% metallic structures. I'm detecting hundreds of sensor organs across its surface and at least 50 weapon emplacements. It's also covered in some kind of armor plating that looks like it grew naturally. Power readings, Minho asked, off the scale. This thing generates more energy than our entire fleet combined. Captain, I don't think this is a natural organism. Someone built this, or at least started building it. It might be semi-sentient. On the view screen, the Devourer hung in space like a nightmare-given form. Its tentacles slowly moved through the void, each one tipped with claws or cutting tools. Purple energy flickered along its surface. As they watched, one of its appendages reached out and grabbed a small asteroid, pulling it into a mouth-like opening in its body. It's still feeding, Jinwoo reported from engineering, consuming matter and incorporating it into its structure. The more it eats, the bigger it gets. Not anymore, Minho said. Hana, target the main body. All ships prepare to fire on my mark. Dr. Yuna opened a channel to the research station. Zathal, we're about to engage the Devourer. Stay inside your station and keep away from the outer walls. This is going to get loud. We understand. Zethal's voice came back shaking with fear. Please be careful. That thing has already killed thousands of our people. We'll be careful, Yuna promised. But we're also going to be thorough. Before Minho could give the order to fire, the Devourer moved. It twisted in space, bringing dozens of weapons to bear on the human fleet. Energy began building in its weapon ports, glowing brighter and brighter. It's targeting us, Hana shouted. Incoming fire! Beams of purple energy lanced across space, moving at the speed of light. There was no time to dodge. The beams struck 3 of the human ships dead on, energy that would have vaporized any concordance vessel. The human ships rocked under the impact. Shields flared bright, armor plating glowed red-hot. But they didn't explode. They didn't even slow down. Damage report, Minho barked. Shield down to 70%, Subin reported. Hull breach on deck 7, section 12. Sealing now. No casualties. The Retribution took a direct hit, came a voice from another ship. Lost 30 meters of hull plating on the port side. We're still operational. Minho allowed himself a small smile. Human ships were built tough because humans expected to be hit. Their ships could take a beating and keep fighting. Return fire, he ordered. All weapons full spread. The response from the human fleet was immediate and overwhelming. Railguns fired, sending solid metal slugs downrange at a significant fraction of light speed. Each round carried kinetic energy equivalent to a small bomb. They punched through the Devourer's outer armor like it was paper. Missiles streaked across the void. Dozens of them, each one carrying a nuclear warhead. They impacted across the Devourer's surface, nuclear fire blooming in the darkness. The creature's organic sections burned and blackened. Energy weapons added their fury. Invisible beams of concentrated power that carved glowing trenches through the Devourer's biomass. Steam and fluids vented into space as the creature's body was torn apart. On the research station, the Valorians watched in stunned silence. They had never seen violence on this scale, The sheer destructive power the humans were unleashing was beyond anything in their experience. "They're destroying it," Zethal whispered, but then the Devourer screamed. It was an actual sound, transmitted through subspace frequencies. The scream hit every ship and station in the system like a physical blow. On the Valorian station, all 43 researchers collapsed, clutching their heads in pain. The sound was agonizing, drilling into their brains. On the human ships, the crew barely flinched. Humans had evolved to survive loud noises: thunder, rock slides, predator roars. Their hearing was naturally less sensitive than most species. "That's annoying," Hannah muttered, adjusting her console to filter out the subspace scream. The Devourer thrashed in space, wounded but far from dead. As the humans watched, its damaged sections began to change. The armor plating thickened and hardened. The organic sections sealed themselves with new growth. In less than a minute, it had adapted to their weapons. "It's regenerating," Hannah said, "and not just healing. It's adapting. The armor is now twice as thick as before. Our next volley won't be as effective." "Then we hit it harder," Minho said calmly. "Deploy the kinetic kill vehicles." Jinwoo smiled. The kinetic kill vehicles were his favorite weapon. They were beautifully simple, just dense metal cores with minimal guidance systems. They didn't need explosives or energy weapons. They killed through pure kinetic energy. 6 projectiles launched from the Indomitable and 2 other ships. They were already moving fast when they left the tubes. Then their engines fired, accelerating them to 70 kilometers per second. Impact in 10 seconds, Hannah counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, impact. The kinetic kill vehicles struck the Devourer at precisely calculated points along its body. Each impact released energy equivalent to multiple nuclear weapons, but concentrated in a single spot. The creature's armor, so carefully adapted and hardened, shattered like glass. The shock waves traveled through the Devourer's body, destroying internal structures. Purple fluid, blood or something like it, boiled out into vacuum. Pieces of the creature broke away, spinning into space. For a moment, it seemed like the battle was over. Then the Devourer changed tactics. Its body split open in dozens of places. Small objects shot out, each one maybe 5 meters long. They looked like twisted combinations of machine and creature, with metal claws and organic propulsion systems. "Boarding pods," Subin shouted. "It's launching boarding organisms." Dozens of the pods shot toward the human ships. Some headed for the Valorian station. "Point defense, engage," Minho ordered. The human ship's automated weapon systems came online. Rapid-fire cannons tracked the incoming pods, filling space with bullets. Laser turrets burned through the smaller organisms. Most of the pods were destroyed before they could reach the ships, but not all of them. 3 pods latched onto the Indomitable's hull. They began cutting through the outer armor with some kind of acid that ate through metal like water. "Security team to Section 9, Deck 3, Minho said into the ship-wide communication system. "We have boarders. Deal with them." "Copy that, Captain," came Sergeant Taeyang's voice. "We're on it." On the tactical display, Hannah watched as more pods launched from the Devourer. "It's adapting again. This thing learns fast. Now it's trying to board us because its long-range weapons aren't working." "How long until we can dock with the station?" Minho asked. 2 minutes at current speed. "But those boarding pods are heading for the station too." Minho made a quick decision. "Hannah, stay on the Devourer. Keep it busy. Sabin, take us in. We need to get those Valorians off that station before those pods reach it." "What about the boarders on our ship?" Subin asked. Minho smiled coldly. "Taeyang will handle them." "That's what he does." Deep in the Indomitable's corridors, Sergeant Taeyang and his security team were already moving into position. They could hear the boarders cutting through the hull, getting closer. "Remember," Taeyang said to his team, "these things are hostile and probably don't speak our language. Standard engagement rules. Fire when threatened, eliminate the threat, protect the ship." The hull plating finally gave way. A hole appeared in the wall and something crawled through. It was a nightmare of metal and flesh, all claws and teeth and mechanical parts working together. Purple acid dripped from its claws. It saw the humans and charged. Taeyang didn't hesitate. He raised his rifle and fired. The explosive rounds hit the creature center mass, blowing it apart. 2 more came through the hole. His team opened fire, their weapons filling the corridor with thunder. The fight was brutal but short. The boarding creatures were fast and deadly, but the humans were faster and deadlier. Taeyang's team had trained for this. close quarters combat in ship corridors. They knew every angle, every sight line. 17 boarding creatures made it onto the Indomitable. 17 creatures died in less than a minute. Approach clear, Captain, Taeyang reported. Little messy, but we're good. Permission to seal the breach? Granted, Minho said. Good work. The Indomitable pulled alongside the Valorian station. In the distance, the Devourer continued to fight, but the other human ships kept it busy with constant fire. It was time to get the Valorians to safety. Captain Minho stood on the bridge of the UESS Indomitable, watching the stars blur past as his ship pushed through space at speeds that would tear most alien vessels apart. Behind him, 5 more human ships kept formation, moving together like a pack of hunters. How long until we reach the station? He asked. 37 hours at current speed, answered Lieutenant Hana from her tactical station. She was reviewing the data the Valorians had sent. Captain, this creature they're facing. It's not in any of our databases. It's huge and it seems to be part biological, part mechanical. Any weaknesses? Minho asked, unknown. The Valorians didn't exactly try to fight it. They don't have weapons. Minho found that hard to believe. No weapons at all? None, confirmed Dr. Yuna, the ship's xenobiologist and first contact specialist. The Valorians are a peaceful species. Their whole civilization has no military, no weapons, no concept of warfare. They gave it up thousands of years ago. Engineer Jinwoo laughed from his station. They gave up fighting? Completely. Different species, different evolution, Yuna explained. They evolved on a low-gravity moon with almost no predators. Their world was peaceful, so they became peaceful. They've never needed to fight. Must be nice, muttered First Officer Subin. We couldn't give up fighting if we tried. Earth made sure of that, Minho nodded. Earth, humanity's homeworld, was classified as a Class 12 death world by the Galactic Concordance. High gravity, extreme weather, aggressive predators, deadly diseases and plants that could kill you just by touching them. Humans had evolved to survive in hell, which made them dangerous by everyone else's standards. Try to establish communication with the station, Minho ordered. Let them know we're coming and we're here to help. Yuna opened a channel. She had practiced speaking softly and moving slowly around aliens. Most species found humans naturally threatening. Too tall, too strong, too loud, with eyes that faced forward like predators. A face appeared on the screen. Minho saw a Valorian for the first time. The alien had large dark eyes, delicate features, and skin that looked almost see-through. He was maybe half the height of an average human and looked incredibly fragile. Hello, Yuna said gently, keeping her voice calm. I'm Dr. Yuna of the UES Indomitable. We received your distress call. Our fleet is coming to help you. We're military vessels, but we're here to rescue you, not hurt you. The Valorian on screen, his name was Zethal according to the translation, stared at her with what looked like fear. Military? You organize violence as a profession? Yes, Yuna said carefully. We have people trained specifically to protect others and fight threats. It's a common practice among humans. Zethal turned away from the screen and spoke to others they couldn't see. There was a lot of rapid conversation in the Valorian language. Finally, he turned back. We are grateful for your help, he said, though his voice shook. The creature is getting closer. We've designated it the Devourer. It has destroyed 3 of our colonies and is moving toward our station. We calculate it will reach us in less than 30 hours. We'll be there before that, Minho said, stepping into view. Zethal flinched back when he saw the captain. Minho was not a particularly large human, but to a Valorian he probably looked like a giant. I need you to send us all your sensor data on this Devourer. Everything you have. Sending now, Zethal said. The data flooded into the Indomitable's computers. Hana pulled it up on her screens and started analyzing it immediately. What she saw made her frown. It's adapting, she said. Look at these scans. Each time it consumes something, it changes. It's incorporating the material into its body, growing new structures, and it's learning. The way it attacked the 3rd colony was different from the 1st. More efficient. Can we kill it? Minho asked directly. Everything can be killed, Hana said. Question is how much firepower we need. Based on these scans, I'd say we hit it with everything we have and hope that's enough. Minho turned back to the communication screen. Zethal, we're going to need to evacuate your station. How many people do you have? 43 researchers, Zethal answered. That's manageable. Prepare everyone for evacuation. We'll dock with your station and transfer you to our ships. Captain, Zethal said hesitantly. There's something you should know. Our species can't handle high gravity. Our maximum tolerance is 0.7 gravity for short periods. Anything more than 1 gravity would kill us. Our bones would break, our organs would be crushed. The bridge went quiet. Yuna closed her eyes briefly. This was the problem with Deathworlders helping other species. What was normal for humans was deadly for almost everyone else. Understood, Minho said. We'll adjust our ships to lower gravity for you. It'll be uncomfortable for us, but we can manage. Thank you, Zethal said. Captain, are you really going to fight that thing? The Devourer? We've calculated its mass at over 2 million tons. It has weapons that can vaporize a mining station in seconds. How can you possibly fight it? Minho smiled, and it was not a gentle expression. Zethal, humans have been fighting things that want to kill us since before we learned to make fire. We're very good at it. Trust me, if this Devourer can be killed, we'll find a way. The communication ended. The human fleet continued racing through space toward the dying star system. In the engineering section, Jinwoo was already preparing the ship for combat. He checked the railguns, the missile tubes, the energy weapons. Everything had to be perfect. One mistake could cost lives. Do you think we can beat this thing? Asked one of his assistants. We're humans, Jinwoo said simply. We don't ask if we can beat something. We just figure out how. On the bridge, Subin was reviewing their weapons inventory. Nuclear missiles, kinetic kill vehicles, railgun rounds, laser batteries. The UESS Indomitable was designed to fight, and it carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The other ships are reporting ready, she told Minho. All weapon systems green. All crews at battle stations. Good, Minho said. Hana, start working on attack patterns. I want multiple options depending on how this thing responds. Yuna, prepare the medical bay for Valorian physiology. I want to make sure we can treat them if anyone gets hurt. Already on it, Yuna said. The hours passed slowly. The human ships pushed their engines harder, trying to arrive before the Devourer reached the research station. Every member of every crew knew what they were flying toward. They were going to war against something they'd never seen before, something that had easily destroyed 3 Valorian colonies. But they were humans. War was in their blood, written into their DNA by millions of years of surviving on a world that tried to kill them every day. Captain, Hana said as they approached the system, sensors are picking up the Devourer. It's bigger than the scans suggested. Much bigger. How much bigger? Minho asked. Try 3 kilometers long and growing. It's consumed more material since the Valorians last scanned it. And Captain, it knows we're here. It's turning toward us. Minho stood up from his command chair. All ships, battle formation. Weapons hot. Let's show this thing what happens when you threaten someone under human protection. The 6 human warships spread out in a 3-dimensional formation. Their weapons coming online, their shields powering up. In the distance, the Devourer waited, its tentacles spreading wide, its weapons charging with an eerie purple glow. The Valorians watched from their station, terrified and amazed. They were about to witness something their peaceful civilization hadn't seen in thousands of years. They were about to see Deathworlders go to war. Captain Minho addressed his crew over the ship-wide communication system. His voice was calm and confident, the voice of a man who had faced death before and was not afraid. All hands, this is the captain. We're about to do something dangerous. We're going to lead the Devourer into the system star. The other ships will protect our evacuees and provide covering fire. If anyone wants to transfer to another ship, now is the time. He waited. No one moved to leave their stations. I didn't think so, Minho said with a small smile. Jinwoo, transfer the Valorians to the Retribution. That ship took damage, but it's still faster than most. They'll get our passengers to safety. Transferring now, Jinwoo confirmed. In the evacuation room, Zethal felt his crash couch being moved. The humans were carefully transferring each Valorian to a different ship, handling them like precious cargo. What's happening? He asked Yuna, who was overseeing the transfer. Captain Minho is going to kill the Devourer, she explained. But it's dangerous, so he's making sure you're all safe first. He's risking his life for us? For aliens he just met. Yuna looked at him with those forward-facing predator eyes, and Zethal saw something in them he hadn't expected. Kindness. That's what humans do, she said. When someone sends an SOS, we answer. No matter who they are, no matter the cost. The transfers completed quickly. The Valorians were now aboard the Retribution, safely away from the Indomitable. Yuna stayed with them, monitoring their conditions and trying to keep them calm. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Minho gave his orders. Hana, plot a course to the star. Make it obvious. I want the Devourer to know exactly where we're going. Subin, prepare a signal that will make that thing angry. We need it to follow us. What kind of signal? Subin asked. Playback recordings of the Valorian distress calls, reminded of the prey that got away. Subin's fingers flew across her console. A moment later, the Valorian distress signals began broadcasting from the Indomitable on all frequencies. To the Devourer, it must have sounded like the Valorians were still there, still available to consume. The creature reacted immediately. It abandoned the destroyed research station and turned toward the Indomitable, its tentacles reaching out, its weapons charging. Got its attention, Hana said. It's coming fast, then let's go, Minho said. Full speed toward the star. The Indomitable turned and accelerated, pushing its engines to maximum. Behind it, the Devourer gave chase, moving faster than it had before. It was angry now, and it wanted the ship that had denied it prey. Time to the Corona? Minho asked. At current speed, 18 minutes, Hana answered. The Devourer will be in weapons range in 4 minutes. Let it shoot at us. We need to keep it interested. The minutes ticked by. The Indomitable raced toward the dying star, its hull temperature beginning to rise from the distant heat. Behind it, the Devourer closed the distance, firing everything it had. Energy beams struck the ship's rear shields. Missiles exploded against the hull. The Indomitable shook with each impact, but it didn't slow down. Shields at 50%, Subin reported. Hull temperature rising. Engineering, how are we holding? We're good so far. Jinwoo's voice came back, though there was strain in it. But Captain, we're pushing the engines past their rated limits. If we keep this up, we risk a burnout. Understood. Keep them running as long as you can. On the Retribution, Zethal and the other Valorians watched through the ship's sensors as the Indomitable dove toward the star with the Devourer in pursuit. The human ship looked so small against the massive bulk of the creature chasing it. They're not going to make it, one of the Valorian researchers said. That thing is too fast. Don't underestimate them, Yuna said quietly. Humans have a saying, never give up, never surrender, they mean it. The Indomitable was getting close to the star now. The temperature inside the ship was rising despite the cooling systems running at maximum. Crew members were sweating, but no one complained. They had a job to do. Entering the outer corona, Hana reported. Temperature at 2,000 degrees and climbing. Shields at 30%. The view screen showed the star filling their vision, a massive ball of nuclear fire. The Indomitable's shields glowed white-hot as they absorbed the intense radiation. Alarms were sounding across the ship. The Devourer is still following, Subin said. It's taking damage from the heat, but it's not backing off. Good, Minho said. That's exactly what we want. How much deeper can we go? Not much, Jinwoo's voice was tight with stress. Captain, we're at the edge of what the ship can handle. 1 more minute, maybe 2, then we have to pull out or we're not getting out at all. Minho watched the tactical display. The Devourer was right behind them, so focused on catching them that it wasn't paying attention to the danger. Its outer layers were burning, its organic sections charring and dying, but its hate pushed it forward. 30 seconds, Minho said. Everyone hold on. The temperature hit 5,000 degrees. Parts of the hull were glowing red. The shields were flickering on the edge of failure. Minho's hands gripped the control panel, his knuckles white. Now, he shouted. He fired every maneuvering thruster at once, pushing the ship into the hardest turn it had ever made. The Indomitable curved away from the star in a desperate arc, its structure groaning under the stress. Crew members were thrown against their restraints. Systems overloaded. Sparks flew from damaged panels, but the turn worked. The Indomitable pulled away from the star, riding the edge of the corona like a surfer on a wave. The Devourer tried to follow. It was too massive, moving too fast and too close. When it attempted the turn, its momentum carried it deeper into the star instead. The creature's scream was the loudest yet, a sound of pure rage and pain, transmitted across subspace. It thrashed in the nuclear fire, its tentacles burning away, its armor melting, its organic sections vaporizing. On the bridge of the Indomitable, the crew watched as the Devourer was consumed by the star. Its massive form grew smaller and smaller, dissolving into plasma and energy. The screaming faded, grew weaker, and finally stopped. The Devourer was dead. Status report, Minho said, his voice hoarse. Shields gone, hull temperature critical but dropping. Multiple system failures, but nothing we can't fix. No casualties, Subin reported. Then she smiled. We did it, Captain. We killed it. A cheer went up on the bridge. The crew embraced each other, laughing with relief and exhaustion. All ships report, Minho ordered when the celebration died down. Retribution here. All evacuees safe and secure. Nice flying, Indomitable. Vengeance reporting. We're all good. That was insane, Captain. The other ships checked in one by one. Everyone was safe. The Valorians were rescued. The threat was eliminated. On the Retribution, the Valorians were crying. Not from fear this time, but from overwhelming gratitude and emotion. They had been saved by beings they had feared, protected by warriors from a death world. Sethal asked to speak with Captain Minho. A communication link was established. Captain, Sethal said, his voice shaking, you saved us. You came into danger for people you never met. You fought something that should have killed you. You risked everything. I don't understand why. Why would you do this for us? Minho was quiet for a moment, thinking about his answer. On Earth, we have an old tradition, he finally said. When someone sends a distress signal, you answer. It doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter if they're your friend or a stranger. If someone needs help, you help them. That's what makes us human. But you call your world a death world, Sethal said. You evolved to be warriors, predators. Isn't helping others a weakness? No, Minho said firmly. Helping others is our greatest strength. Yes, Earth made us tough. It made us dangerous. But it also taught us that survival depends on working together. We're pack animals, Sethal. We protect our pack. And right now, you're part of our pack. Sethal felt tears running down his face. The Concordance needs to know about this. About what you did. About what humans are capable of. They'll learn, Minho said. But Sethal, I need to tell you something. The Devourer wasn't the only one. My people detected similar attacks in other sectors. This thing was part of a pattern. Something is sending these creatures or making them. Then what do we do? Sethal asked, fear creeping back into his voice. We prepare, Minho said. We investigate. We find out where these things are coming from and we stop them. The Concordance has spent centuries avoiding conflict, trying to be peaceful. That's admirable. But sometimes peace needs to be protected. Sometimes you need warriors. You mean you need Deathworlders? Sethal said. We prefer the term protectors, Minho said with a slight smile. But yes, the Concordance is going to need us, and we'll be there. 'Cause that's what we do. The human fleet formed up, damaged but victorious. The Indomitable would need repairs, but it could still fly. Together, the ship set course for the nearest Concordance station. They carried 43 grateful Valorians, and a message that would spread across the galaxy. Humanity had proven itself. Not just as warriors, but as protectors, as heroes. The Deathworlders from Earth had answered the call for help, and they would answer again, whenever and wherever they were needed. Because when the galaxy called, humanity answered. That was what Deathworlders did. That was what heroes did.